Hey guys, this is Brave Sir Robin coming to you with another EB Online battle. This is a recent 1v1 fought between me playing as Carthage and LazyO playing as the Saka. And after this battle, we both agreed that this one should definitely be uploaded to YouTube because it was so close. It was such a well-fought battle, in fact, as well. Now, I'm just going to run through the army compositions. It's also worth noting that we are in the midst of our June tournament right now, but this battle is not, in fact, a tournament battle. This was just a friendly that we fought, sort of to test a few things. Anyway, my army is composed of 2 units of Yasutai out in front, basically acting as cheap meat shields. 4 units of Cretan archers, which I've staggered around my lines, sort of form a box to protect against horse archers. 4 units of Iberian assault infantry, the Dorke Hatquapa Iberium. 2 units of Iberi Scutari. 2 units of Ikemetai Lucanoi, the Lucanian light infantry, which were recently changed into skirmishers. The general's bodyguard unit, of course. 2 units of Loricati Scutari, the Iberian heavy infantry. 1 unit of Hanatim Libim, the Libyan spearmen in loose formation, and 2 units of Brihentin. LazyO, he's playing as Saka, but he hasn't taken a heavy step army. This is pretty as civilized as you're going to get from a Saka player. 2 units of the Asabarai, the Saka riders, which are currently raining arrows down on me. He has, I believe, 3 units of the Pai Dunai, the Saka foot archers, sort of spaced out at intervals here. 2 units of the Hindus Pratisyoda, Indian longbowmen, which are good they're decent archers and they're very good in melee for an archer unit. 4 units of Hoplita Indo-Hellenicoi, the Indo-Hellenic medium infantry with swords and spears. And his main line is composed of 4 units of Hoplita Hellenicon, the Saka heavy hoplites, which are the bane of the existence of any player who ever fights the Saka because it takes forever to break these guys. Also, his cavalry contingent, the most important part of any Saka army, 2 units of the Kamboja Azvaka Ksatria, I don't know how to pronounce Indian names. These are the Indo-Iranian light cavalry, which recently received a boost in the latest EDU. They're now a very, very good light cavalry charge / melee unit. 1 unit of Yasaninu Aisna, early Saka nobles. Forgive my pronunciation, I'm probably butchering this and I'll hear it from Game Geek later. 1 unit of Yankai Uzadate, the Alan nobles, and his general is located within a unit of Yasninu Aisirmaja, the Saka bodyguard cavalry, which are basically just, they're not actually bodyguard cavalry, they're just named that. They're cataphracts. Alright, so it starts off with him maneuvering his riders to the flanks. I'm shooting at them with my Cretians. He's also shooting at me with his archers, foot archers. And I'm continuing shooting at them with my Cretians and my Yasutai. I believe the Cretians in the back are shooting at the horse archers, while the Cretians in the front are firing at his foot archers along with the Yasutai. And this was, according to LazyO, the only mistake he made in the game. And that was, he left the Indians longbowmen. He probably brought them up a little too soon. He probably should have wasted my arrows with the Saka foot archers, because 1, they're cheaper, 2, they're actually better archers. These guys have good range, but they're not very incredibly accurate, and they're more valuable because of their melee capabilities. They're basically Drapani with lower morale and bows. They're also considerably more expensive than Drapani, so. Alright, so you can see I try to deal with his rider cavalry. It's annoying because they have shields, so they resist archers relatively decently. You're not going to be able to catch them with heavy cavalry, or light cavalry probably, unless you're stupid. So 1 unit is still doing pretty well. I haven't concentrated as much firepower on them. This unit's pretty reduced. But there's a little bit of a skirmish from here on. I don't know, skirmishes against step factions can be interesting. This one was somewhat interesting. It wasn't really that crazy. A lot of times it can devolve completely into chaos, and that's usually a sign that you're inexperienced against step. What you want against step is probably something that looks very similar to this. You want something where, with one quick scan of the screen, you can see all of your units. You don't have guys wandering all over the place. You've sort of formed a relatively defensible box, where if he starts firing at one of your unit's rears, like I believe he starts firing at these Scutari, you can turn them around and hopefully deflect the arrows from the back. Although that's an issue. I actually don't turn these guys because I'm afraid then he'll just shoot them with his foot archers, and the foot archers will do more damage. So it's a loaded gun either way. You're going to lose men in step battles. You just have to not panic, and that's really the important factor. I think actually these Yasutai just ran out of ammo, so I decided to just run them after these Saka riders, thinking, oh, maybe I can catch them. They're actually out of ammo too, though, so not a big deal. The main engagement is going to come in a matter of seconds, and I think I'll just fast forward until that. Okay, so here it is. You can see he's formed up a little closer to me, and I maneuver my Iberian assault infantry into position. Basically, I want to attack one side of his army, sort of render the cavalry on this side ineffectual for some time. So I just really want to concentrate here. So I move into position and start collecting javelins, sort of soften these guys up. These are the weaker portion of his infantry. Their morale and their defense is not quite as high as the Saka heavy hoplites. So I really want to focus on them. Even though the Iberian assault infantry will probably do just as well against the hoplites, if not even better, because the defense skill on them might be a little bit lower. But you can see I'm attacking them. And I also maneuver my Loricati Scutari around here. Meanwhile, I try to push. He has some Saka riders. He also has early Saka nobles over on this side, and I try to push them away so that I can indeed maneuver here without any issues. I managed to catch the Saka, or actually he charges the Saka riders, and I guess to buy him on this time. They're going to die really quickly against Brighenten. But that does achieve his purpose, I think, which was to maneuver the nobles around. Over here you can see I've completed an envelopment, and I've actually routed his Saka foot archers that were standing behind the line there. I don't think they had any ammo left, so that's not really a big deal. But these guys are now wavering as well. Over here he's charging over. I've moved my guys back. He's Iberian Scutari gets hit by a whole bunch of Saka heavy hoplites. I have my Libyan spearmen here. I have some Lucanian light infantry. This unit of cavalry gets caught, and a lot of them die, and that was my big mistake of the battle. We each had really one big mistake. They do manage to survive, but I lose a lot of them, approximately half. So that was a big deal for me. But I do manage to pull them out and bring my Lucanians in to ward off his light cavalry. He also has his cataphracts sitting here. Now over here he has his guys sort of raining arrows into my back. So I sort of move my general to ward them off again. These units are returning. I didn't manage to kill these guys as fast as I would have liked. I don't know if he put guard mode on or not. I think he did from the looks of things. But basically guard mode means that they fight incredibly better, like little superhumans. While they don't really kill much, their stamina loss is reduced, etc., etc. So he catches a couple stragglers over here, and he gets them to charge in my Lucanians. Doesn't break them, but it reduces them to about half. Now he's going to pull his cavalry around. I don't have much here because these Brighenten got beat up. Got a lot of Cretians. The Cretians are decently good melee infantry. You'll see them do a pretty decent job. There I went for a little bit of a charge. A little awkward. It might have been a charge through. Not sure. It's tough with step battles, constantly moving pieces to avoid that sort of thing. But you can see over here, I moved my Brighenten in behind his lines and scared off a whole bunch of his archers. And that's a big deal because that sort of cuts down on the morale of these guys. You can see they're wavering now. I also managed to catch his Saka nobles over here, which is nice, getting a couple kills on them. But over here, you can see how fast moving these battles are. I can't even commentate on them properly. He gets off a route on my Iberian Scutari with a charge from his Indo-Iranian lights. And he's also routed my Lucanians with a combination of the Allen Nobles and the Saka bodyguard cavalry, and my Brihenton are sort of powerless to stop this. And here he gets in another charge, but he doesn't get the spear down because he takes a bad angle. So he actually loses a bunch of Indo-Iranian light cavalry here. He probably didn't need to lose. But again, here's another charge of the Allen Nobles. This one routs my Libyan spearmen. Over here, I've, again, still completely enveloping him. Get off the charge here on these guys. The Saka foot archers, which routs them. My bodyguards are getting torn into by the Indo-Iranian light cavalry here, but again, the Lucanians are coming in to save the day. I really like Lucanians in step battles. They're very useful. But I have a big problem here in that my entire rear is sort of exposed. Thankfully, I route enough of these units here on this flank that I can pull these Scutari out, help form a wall, and I do manage to sort of harass with these very few remaining Brihenton his Saka bodyguard cavalry. But again, he's getting in charges left and right. LazyO played very well this battle. He micromanaged his cavalry incredibly well. It's very difficult to do, especially when you have like 5 or 6 melee cavalry units and you're trying to maneuver your infantry, and you need it's a pain. Anyway, again another charge, and he's really damaging my infantry blob over here badly. On the plus side, I do manage to get my general in for a charge, and that chain routes a couple of Saka heavy hoplites combined with the Brihenton. So he really only has the one infantry in here, which is wavering, and they'll break soon. But he does still have plenty of cavalry, as you can see. And he manages to rout that last unit of Brihenton. Over here, I have only one unit of Iberian assault infantry holding off his infantry blob, composed of a combination of the heavy hoplites and the Indo-Hellenics. Some returning Lucanians hit him in the back, but they in turn get hit in the back by a cataphract charge, and that routes them. I do manage to pull some more Iberian assault infantry out to sort of lend some weight to this line, but that only serves to weaken me here. Although these guys do break, he gets in another charge with 2 units. You can see it has a little bit of an effect. Thankfully, Iberian assault infantry are heavy. I managed to pin these guys in here with my bodyguard cavalry, do a lot of damage, but he gets these Indo-Iranians in behind, gets off a decent charge. I don't think it really does that much. He didn't have the spears down. But these guys come in for another charge, and these guys do a lot more damage. My Brihenton in turn are coming in. Like, there's cavalry charges left and right. It's impossible to even commentate on this. This was a very, very fast-moving battle. Here he gets a huge charge in, absolutely devastating on my Scutari. These guys are solid as rocks. They went down from 75, I think, to 33 and didn't break in one cavalry charge. That's incredible. It really shows you the power of some of the Iberian units who have very high morale, even though they don't wear much armor. They're also fast moving, so they get to chase after the cataphracts decently well. But that was a devastating charge. That you can see all these guys dead here. That was a good fortune for infantry. Now these guys are coming in again for a charge on my rear. It's almost impossible for me with 2 cavalry units to stop him with, I think, 5 at this point from getting in charges. But I am winning the infantry battle slowly but surely. Iberian assault infantry are much better in melee than Saka heavy hoplites. And actually, those are the sort of units that they perform very, very well against because they're all armor, no defense skill. I managed to kill a bunch of his cataphracts here. He gets a little careless, or he's just probably micromanaging other cavalry all over the place. You can see he's charging in here while I'm pursuing him. Over here, he's got another unit of Indo-Iranian cavalry getting ready to charge. Managed to get a couple javelins out on them and hit them with some infantry, but he does get a charge off, and that's sort of devastating. Yeah, this battle is fast. Over here, he has a couple of returners, some of the Indian longbowmen, some more heavy hoplites that have broken earlier. And even though it looks like my strong point, the main battle, is over here, what happens over here will be important. You can see these Lucanians, I didn't use their javelins, so they're still tossing a couple javelins here and there, which is nice. Another charge, this one from the Allen Nobles. These are my guys. I don't think it's too effective. Most of his cavalry is very tired. And now I'm just sort of pursuing his cataphracts with the Sacred Band cavalry. They should be faster, but I'm having trouble actually catching them. Problem being the pursuit problem of Rome Total War, that your guys can't fight and pursue at the same time, which is very annoying. And he manages to get into a charge, so I break these guys off. I think that was my last unit of the Iberian Carthage and Lazy. Here's the Libyan spearmen. They were trying to stop that Alan charge, and instead they really just got in the way and got ran over. Again, here come in his cataphracts for another charge. This one's really good. I think this actually breaks. Yeah, that unit breaks. That unit breaks. And at this point of the battle, I thought I'd lost. I forgot about. It's amazing. You can really focus on just one section and micromanaging here, there, and you forget something that's like 2 inches to the right, which were these Lucanians, who are actually wavering, amazingly enough, but they're completely outnumbering these heavy hoplites. I managed to trap a couple of these Indo-Iranian lights here, kill a couple of them off. Yeah, a few of his units were out. The Indo-Hellenic median spearmen and some Saka heavy hoplites. I brought in a couple Cretians to the battle. You can see these guys. They were sort of scattered all over the place here, and I'd forgotten about them. So they're well rested, and they're able to resist the cavalry charges decently well for a light unit. He gets another charge with the Indo-Iranian light cavalry. This is really getting repetitive. But thankfully, all the cavalry units are very small at this point. The biggest one's probably his cataphract unit, which is 20 men. Even the Yosatai are getting in on the battle. These guys that had earlier pursued the Saka riders and were routed, now they're playing a key role in just bogging his cavalry down, slowing them down as much as they can. He's got foot archers coming into the battle, but they rout very quickly. His Saka heavy hoplites are not routing quickly against the Lucanians here, though. Again, here's another big charge. These Iberian assault infantry managed to turn to face a combination charge of the Iranian light and the cataphracts. He also gets in a charge here with the Alan nobles, which routs the Iberian Scutari. But in effect, I think he loses his Alan nobles. They get caught up and trapped by the remainders of my Pretenton and Sacred Band bodyguard. Also, I got some returning Cretians here, which helps seal the deal. So yeah, there aren't very many men fighting here. It looks like there's more men fighting than there really are. Those are all just dead bodies. 10 Cretan archers, they get killed by the cataphracts. Here's some more Cretan archers rushing in here to help fight off these Indo-Hellenic spearmen. I'm still pursuing his Indo-Iranian light cavalry, who I found incredibly annoying this battle. Over here, he again got some archers back, and they're engaged in melee, along with these heavy hoplites who still refuse to break against overwhelming numbers. Here's some Cretan archers sort of bogging up this area. Over here, I go in for a charge. I think I hit these heavy hoplites who are coming in. Yep. I don't think it breaks them, but it kills a couple. And at this point, when there's only like 18 men left in units, 4 or 5 kills is a big deal. Again, he hits the Iberian assault infantry heavily in the rear. Thankfully, they're able to resist it. Cavalry charges aren't as effective when units are exhausted. And yeah, he doesn't really have as much infantry left as I do at this point. And you can see these Cretans are actually doing a very good job because they're well rested of fighting off his medium infantry. And I finally rout these guys over here, and that's huge. Because now I get this unit of Lucanians, 46 strong, returning. And that probably outnumbers all the other infantry in the battle. Close to. So yeah, Iberian assault infantry is still fighting off his cavalry. Charges on them. Doesn't quite manage to rout them. Still 9 left. You very rarely see battles come down this closely with like units of 10, 9 men being actually effective combat units. And these guys finally get enveloped by the returning Lucanians, and that routs them. He still has more cavalry than I do, but now at this point he has no infantry left. He sends in the Indo-Iranians to charge quickly while these guys are still fighting their death, hopefully kill a bunch of them. But all that manages to do is get the Indo-Iranians killed. Here the bodyguard cavalry are fighting off my cavalry, and they're going to win that battle. There's nothing I can do to kill these guys with my cavalry at this point, except maybe an unprotected charge off. But here come my infantry rushing into assistance. And you can see what happens here. I cannot kill these guys because of their high armor rating and how tired my men are. There's one, finally. It's sort of annoying. But yeah, eventually he's just going to pull these guys out. Let me fast forward here a bit. Eventually he'll pull these guys out. And just try one last charge, see if he manages to route one or two of my units. Maybe they'll spark a chain route, who knows. Again, this is one of the annoying things. You think that the Brihenton or the Saka band would be able to actually catch them and kill them while they're running away, but they can't. So they just keep stopping. The unfortunate side effects of Rome Total War's engine, I guess, suppose. But here he comes in for the charge. Kills a few Cretians. The Cretians quickly swarm. Really gotta love these guys as melee light infantry. They're really good. And then eventually these guys will break. So this was an incredibly good game to LazyO. Very, very well played on both sides. I think it really shows how you can both play as a step faction and also defend against a step faction. This is actually, it says close defeat because LazyO not recorded the video, but saved the replay and sent it to me. You can see the kill count, extremely close. He actually deployed more men than me, which is surprising. But the kill difference is less than 40. That's incredibly close. You can see his bodyguard cavalry did really well. So did the Indo-Iranian lights. That one got 100, that one got 73. All nobles had 101. He probably would have liked to see a few more kills from the early second nobles. I think the units that did the best for me, one unit of Brihenton had a lot of kills. The one that managed to slip out and get a bunch of charges in. But then the Iberian Assault Infantry, of course, all did very well. They probably got 80, 90 kills each. So, good game to LazyO. This is a really fun battle, and I hope to see a couple more battles like this in the actual tournament.